everybody. My name is Andrew Krasowski. I am the Mother Teresa Hospice chaplain, as well as one of our marketing people. And I'm here today with Trish Campbell, who serves as our social worker, as well as our bereavement coordinator. And we are working on a series today entitled Care for the Caregiver. So Trish, great to have you with us today.
Thanks, Andrew. It's good to be here.
So why care for the caregiver? What prompted you to kind of dive into this dynamic for the people we're working with?
So many of our caregivers have multiple challenges, whether they're caring for the person at home, whether they're the primary caregiver or they are a part-time caregiver, or they're trying to look after their loved one in some capacity when they're in a facility. So there's so many issues that they face. So I thought it would be helpful to address some of those challenges and talk about some of the feelings and concerns, and then talk about some of the ways you can cope more effectively with the stress of that role.
I guess one of the questions I would have, and so many people that we deal with, that we run into, is what exactly is a caregiver? Who categorizes under that title?
Well, a caregiver is anyone who provides support to a family member or to anyone who needs assistance with their personal care needs, running errands, transportation to appointments, house cleaning, or just simply being a friendly visitor, showing up with a pot of soup or a flower. So it's multifaceted. Anybody who looks after a person in need in really any capacity is a caregiver.
What would be some challenges that today's caregivers face?
Caregivers may be elderly. I had a caregiver that was 85 years old taking care of a 103-year-old mother. It could be a new role for you, something you've not done that you're stepping into. Much may be expected of you by yourself or your family. You might have some difficulty setting limits with that person or saying no if there's something you really aren't able to do. You may live in the same household as that person in need and may not get a break. You don't feel that you have time to take care of your own needs, or you may have some physical limitations that make it difficult to care for that person.
I think, in our role in hospice, we saw, a lot of caregivers having some difficulties during the COVID dynamic because so many of them were not able to kind of get out of the house and, have that time to be able to just, me time per se, if that makes sense.
It does. Certainly the COVID virus has complicated the caregiver's role. Either they're more isolated because it's just perhaps them and the patient in the home and people aren't coming in to visit, or you're a caregiver in some capacity and your loved one is in a facility, and because of the COVID restrictions, people haven't been able to be present with their loved ones. So that's just complicated the challenges that caregivers, family members, friends face.
So how would you know when you're experiencing caregiver stress or burnout?
There are many feelings associated with this issue. You might feel powerless, overwhelmed, irritable. Maybe you're unable to sleep. You might have drastic changes in your appetite. You eat too much, you eat too little. You might lose interest in activities that you previously enjoyed. You find yourself extremely sad or depressed more than usual. You're having some physical symptoms, which could be a manifestation of emotional issues. Or perhaps you might be turning to alcohol or drugs or prescription medications to cope.
Yeah, I think, it's so easy for caregivers to try to play that almost like a hero role because they feel like they have to be strong for the person that they're taking care of. And sometimes, we found in hospice care and working with so many folks, that, oftentimes they're masking some of those things that you just discussed, in order to appear strong for the person that they're taking care of. And it's so important that they're doing the things for themselves, and they're being transparent, with family, with friends,
Mm.
with hospice, whoever they're working with, also saying, I'm also having some struggles here. What are some things you can provide for me? What are some ways you can cope more effectively, with some of the dynamics of caregiver stress?
You can accept help from others when it's offered, have realistic goals for your caregiving responsibilities, know your limitations, ask others for support when needed. If your sister-in-law offers to spend 2 hours a week with your mother, don't be reluctant to say yes. You need to get some rest when you can. Maybe that means sleeping when they're sleeping. Try to be active, maybe go for a walk, talk with a friend. You might journal, and that means you're recording your thoughts and feelings in a book. And it's important too to consider spending time in prayer, reconnecting with God, reading inspirational readings or scripture verses or poems. Um, you need to learn, find out what resources are available in the community, such as respite care, perhaps, in a facility for your loved one. You can contact the local office on aging to get a list of resources as well. I think it's important to keep in mind, to make your needs known to others, to not be silent if you're really struggling. And having limitations doesn't mean you don't care about the person. You don't need to feel guilty about having limitations, because we all have them, because it's normal. And self-care is very important. You need to consider looking after yourself, because if you get weary, um, that can impact your ability to take care of that person.
To conclude, Trish, I would say, one of the things that I think is interesting right now, as we're kind of digging out of the COVID crisis a little bit, what are some dynamics that you would say to people that are, considering hospice care, especially with so much fear with, some of the facilities having, issues with the COVID outbreak? What are some things that hospice can provide people, that maybe some of these facilities can't?
hmm First of all, you need to call us and ask questions. Speak to one of our nurses and talk about your loved one and their decline and what's going on. And they'll be able to tell you, based on what you're saying, if hospice might be appropriate. And then we get an order from the patient's doctor to do an evaluation, and or an admission. And we have a team approach. We're very flexible. It's a very intimate, caring group, um, where the patient's physical, emotional, and spiritual needs are met by a team. And our team consists of me, the social worker and bereavement coordinator, and you, Andrew, the chaplain. And then we have nurses and home health aides and volunteers. So it's a team approach where everybody participates to have the same goal of minimizing the patient's symptoms and maximizing their comfort. That's what we're about. And we try to do creative things to help that person. Perhaps they have dementia and they have limited ability to communicate. So we find out from their loved ones what sorts of things they might respond to. People can, with dementia, can respond to music. They can respond to coloring, drawing, prayer. Those are things that might work with that person. So we use creative abilities, I think. We research that out to make sure that every person is treated individually and respectfully based on who they were and who they are right now. There might be something they can respond to. I had a patient who could sing My Wild Irish Rose and Peg of My Heart, but she couldn't carry on a conversation for 2 seconds. And what we did was encouraged her to sing. She did it joyfully, and we would call her daughter. Her daughter lived in England, and we would call her on the phone and let her hear her mother sing. It was delightful. So that's just one thing we can do to make a difference in that person's life.
Yeah, I think it's so often folks misunderstand what hospice care really is. And, what we try to do, and I think it's also worth noting, is that, we work with a wonderful doctor on our team who also looks over these patients. So, their care is, at the utmost importance to everybody on our team, and we're trying to maximize every single day that that person has with us, as well as helping the folks that are taking care of them, the caregivers that we're talking about. And I think it's always phenomenal for our team to hear how wonderful the experience was and how much we were able to enrich the patient's life as well as their family while they're with us. And some folks are with us for only a matter of days, and some folks are with us for over a year. So it just all depends on whenever the good Lord decides to take somebody home, and we try to do our best to make sure that all people involved are just getting fantastic care and support. So with that being said, Trish, I would kind of, if it's okay by you, I'd like to say just like a little prayer, and what would be another dynamic that you think we can discuss the next time we do one of these for those who tune in?
I have a list of educational programs that I typically was offering in the community face-to-face. However, sadly, we can't do that right now, so we have to do them virtually. So the next topic I plan to present would be on power of attorney, durable power of attorney, and advanced directive. Why are they useful? And that will be done during our next session.
Excellent. I have a prayer for caregivers I wanted to close with, and then I'm going to tell everybody where they can find out more information about Mother Teresa Hospice, and then we'll make sure we see everybody the next time we're on here. So this is a prayer for caregivers. Lord, help me remember I am doing your work. Help me clothe myself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, forgiveness, and love. Help me to live out and embody the fruit of the Spirit, showing love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Enable me to see them through your eyes. Help me to have compassion as you did and to follow your example. Ease my burden and provide times of rest and refreshment. Give me the energy necessary to fulfill my task. Grant me the strength and extra grace to be able to handle things I might not normally be able to handle. Help me not lose my joy and give me moments of laughter. In moments of frustration, help me to be slow of anger and to refrain from letting any anger or frustration give a foothold to the devil or lead me to sin. Comfort me as I mourn what I have lost. Fill me up with your love so that I may be so full that your love overflows out of me. I do not have the sufficiency to pour this out on my own supply, so I need your supply. Thank you for supplying me all the needs according to your riches in glory through Jesus Christ. So for those who are interested in more on Mother Teresa Hospice, we take care of all folks of all religions, backgrounds, whatever it may be, in the counties of Allegheny, Beaver, and Lawrence County. And you can find out more information on us at motherteresahospice.com. We're also on Facebook. You can also search Mother Teresa Hospice. And I will have the graphics underneath here on our little presentation on our phone number and where you can reach us. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Are you having a tough time making the best decision for your mom, dad, or loved one during this difficult time? Hospice care may be the right fit for your family. Mother Teresa Hospice has been faithfully serving the Pittsburgh region since 2002. We have been recognized as one of the top hospice providers in the region by Medicare.gov. We know it's a tough decision to make, but we are here to help you. Please contact us today at MotherTeresaHospice.com.